Rochester, New York, a city with a strong history of innovation, creativity, and technology, has a new mayor. Her name is Mayor Lovely Warren, and here she is back in March of 2013 when she entered the mayor's race.
Some say that in this season we should fear change. They say that we should focus narrowly on a small number of projects and on a few lines of our city's budget. Some have said to me, it's not your time. Come on now. I agree. It's not my time. It is our time.
Rochester Mayor Lovely Warren joins us now. Mayor Warren, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Clearly it was your time, indeed our time. How are you feeling after that incredible, unexpected victory?
I feel energized and excited to lead our city.
You know, people said that this couldn't happen. It was a pretty safe bet that you would not win. You were trailing Thomas Richards in the polls at one point by a lot. And then you beat him in the primary pretty significantly. How did that happen?
Well, we took our message to the voters. We did a lot of door knocking. I had a great team because you can't have a dream without a great team. And on election day, primary day, we went to the doors and pulled people out to go and vote. And at the end of the night, we were victorious and excited that we have a chance to lead our city.
People said it wasn't your time. When did you know that it was? When did you know that you turned the corner and this was a winnable election?
Oh, I knew when I entered the race that it was definitely a winnable election. I looked at our city and saw the challenges, the fact that we have two separate cities, and I wanted to bridge the gap. I was born and raised in a city and recognized that at this point in time, I'm the best person to lead it. And that's why I decided to actually run to talk to the voters of the city of Rochester and explain to them my message and what I wanted to bring to the table. And I was happy that they heard me and that they actually voted for me.
Absolutely. Now, there are a lot of factors here. You are very young. You're only 36 years old. You are an African-American woman. You are the first female mayor of Rochester as well.
Yes.
A lot of factors, a lot of pressure.
Oh, yes. A lot of pressure, but I'm definitely up to the challenge. We hit the ground running and looking forward to what we're going to do for our city. When I look at what I was able to accomplish in the last month of being in office, we were able to bridge some relationships with the County of Monroe that had been broken, and been able to work with our business leaders here to look towards our future, to make sure that we're working on behalf of the citizens of Rochester and all of our citizens.
Recently, you were among 16 mayors that met with President Obama and Vice President Joe Biden. What did you talk about in that meeting?
We talked about the challenges that many of our urban cities face. When you look at education, when you look at what's happening around crime, unemployment, and they wanted to let us know that they're here to support us, that they have some great ideas and some great programs like the new IMCP grant that they have out, the Promise Zone grant that they are releasing to help cities be able to sustain themselves for the future. They wanted to focus on making sure that we start to deal with this skill set deficiency that we have in many of our cities. We have a lot of highly technical and highly skilled people, but we have a problem with those middle skills, wanting to work with our local colleges and at least our community colleges in filling that gap. And, after the State of the State address, Vice President Biden came to visit us here in Rochester. We were excited about that and visited our Monroe Community College Applied Technology Center. And so they wanted us to know that they're here to support us and that they believe that the mayors of our nation actually have the pulse of what's happening in government and are best suited to help them carry forth their agenda.
In 2013, the fiscal profile of Rochester says that the city has an unemployment rate of 9.8%. Of course, those numbers are based on 2012, but that's higher than the rest of this state, or at least higher than the average of the rest of the state. What's your vision for solving the unemployment dilemma?
Well, you're right. And to be honest with you, for many people that live in our most challenged neighborhoods, unemployment is greater than it was during the Great Depression. And my vision is to make sure that I'm working with the president of our local community college to put forth programs that will actually train people for a job. We can no longer do blanket workforce development training. We have a lot of new smaller companies that are coming to Rochester and opening up in Rochester. We are going to those small businesses and asking them what they need from an employee and making sure that our colleges have the skill set and have the curriculum to fulfill the requirements that they need. We are also working with a lot of our local companies to bring in new businesses and other opportunities so that we can put people back to work. One of the first things that I worked on when coming into office was making sure that the new development, which is a $100 million development, Citygate, which has a Costco attached to it, actually comes to our city, and many of our city residents will have an opportunity to apply for those jobs. You are talking about living wage jobs, and my goal is to create those types of opportunities for the residents of our city.
Those are pretty lofty goals. Are you getting support from council?
Yes, absolutely.
I know you know how those city council presidents can be. They can be tough.
Well, I was the city council president before I became mayor. So I have a great relationship with the members of city council, and the new president of city council, Loretta Scott, has been very supportive. We know what we need to do on behalf of the residents of the city of Rochester, and now it's just time to do it.
Absolutely. Now, your city is home to the Rochester Institute of Technology and the University of Rochester. Do you work closely with those institutions?
Absolutely. We have a great relationship with both presidents. Actually, they are working with us right now to go after one of the grants that the president talked about in his State of the State speech. We want to make Rochester a manufacturing hub. You know, when I look at Rochester and I think about all the great things that started here, you know, Kodak was started in Rochester. Bausch & Lomb was started in Rochester. Xerox started in Rochester. Wegmans started in Rochester. And so we are excited about our history, and we know that we can be a great city that we once were. It's just a matter of taking charge right now and laying down the foundation and the path to get there once again.
I have a question from someone who wrote in from the HuffPost Live community. He actually wrote in an email. He's very excited to talk to you. His name is Dr. Ed Brockenbrow. He's a professor at the Warren School of Education at University of Rochester. And his question is, in 2010, the Monroe County Health Department, Rochester is in Monroe County, reported a drastic spike in HIV infections, especially among young black men who have sex with other men. While several calls to action have taken place since then, the community-based agencies working on the front lines of the HIV/AIDS epidemic in Rochester have faced steadily decreasing funding streams, as well as continued resistance in some segments of our local communities of color to providing comprehensive safer sex education and access to condoms for young people. What is Mayor Warren's plan for revitalizing the fight locally against the spread of HIV/AIDS, especially against the city's young people of color?
Well, I think that our young people have, of course, many challenges that they're faced with. And this epidemic that has hit our city is one that I take very seriously. Working with the Department of Health of Monroe County, we have a representative that is sitting on that board and talking to them about what we need to do as a city to make sure that we are providing proper education to our young folks is number one. We also help fund many programs for teenage STD prevention as well as teenage pregnancy prevention, and I will continue to highlight that.
When you say prevention, does prevention for you include safer sex education and condom distribution?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Actually, in our high schools right now, our nurses have been authorized to actually hand out condoms. Parents, the only way that a child cannot access that is if their parents opt out of their child being able to receive that. And so that was a law that was passed, I believe, last year. It was very controversial at the time, but because of exactly what the doctor is talking about, the city school board made it a priority that we actually, provide condoms when a young person asks for them in our schools by our school nurse.
You mentioned schools. A study came out that I saw the other day. It says a report shows, you guys, can you show this? That 9% of black males are graduating from Rochester City schools. 9%. Why is that happening, and what do you do?
Well, that statistic, just makes me really sad. And it is actually something that is true. We have some serious problems in the city of Rochester. Part of it is because our educational system has failed our children. We have a dependent school district that is governed by a separate school board and a separate superintendent. So I do not control what happens at the city school district. But in my campaign, I made education the number one priority. I was born and I was raised in the city. I know many people that have struggled to find educational outcomes and opportunities for their children. And I believe that is my job at this point in time to lead when it comes to education.
Does leading for you include charter schools? I know some people say that charter schools are your something you're passionate about and that's something you believe in. Tell me why.
It includes all types of schools, private schools, charter schools, even our public schools, even our city schools. But what I know is that we need all the help that we can get. We only get one chance to educate a child. One. We cannot do it over. We're either going to pay on the front end or we're going to pay on the back end. I'm also.
But why what is it about charter schools that you find valuable?
The charter schools in Monroe County or in the city of Rochester actually have better numbers than our city schools. And they are the only alternative for a poor parent that cannot afford to send their child to private school or to Catholic school. That the only alternative that they have is to send their child to a charter school. The number one reason why middle-class families leave our city is because of our educational system. And so poor parents can't vote with their feet. I will not condemn them or their children to a failing educational system. And if the only way they are able to give their child a better education is to send them to charter school, then I'm going to support that.
One could interpret that, respectfully, as you saying city schools don't work, charter schools are working, and so they should go there. That could be interpreted as you giving up on public education, traditional public education.
Not at all. Not at all, because charter schools are public education, number one.
I'm saying traditional public education.
Number two, we have a situation here where our city schools will always be a part. Charter schools cannot fill 30,000 children and provide that service to them. But what I want to do and what I encourage is for them to help us deal with this problem that we have in our city. We cannot continue to do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result. And in the end, that's exactly what we're doing. We're telling poor parents that they have to wait. They have to wait for us to fix the system. Well, the system has been failing them for 20 years. We cannot afford to continue that cycle. And offering parents a different opportunity to give their children a better opportunity at a better education is something that we should applaud. We have many city schools that are doing the right thing. We just don't have enough. We don't.
So one more question on this, just so I'm clear. So what do we do if we're not giving up on traditional public education, and you're seeing charter schools as an alternative that addresses some of the problem? What is the plan for traditional public schools?
Well, right now I'm working with the president of the school board and as well as the superintendent to bring in programs to encourage them to replicate successful programs. We are also working on early childhood education. We know that if children who are 4 years old, 3 and 4 are involved in high quality pre-K, that they will be better prepared for kindergarten and for school in the future. And so I have introduced the Early Learning Commission that works with the school district as well as our pre-K providers to make sure that we not only have the capacity, but we are providing high quality opportunities for our young people in our city. Also working, expanding what we're doing in our recreation centers over the summertime to make sure that children are not losing their educational abilities during the summer. So we are doing a lot on our side. I think that helping the school district is one way, but also offering parents choices is another.
You're about a month in now, and you faced a few challenges like all mayors do. One thing that's happened, though, is that the city council's called for an ethics investigation after you hired a security detail that included a close relative. They say you're the first mayor to do so. First of all,
Yeah.
why'd you do it?
Well, I was receiving a number of threats, as you had indicated in the beginning.
Yeah.
Many people thought that I would not be here and be mayor. I started to receive threatening phone calls and emails, and it really got to, it really hurt me. I am a mayor of the people. I love to be among in our community, and love for people to hug me and touch me. And when people are talking about poisoning me, then I have a serious concern about that. I have a 3-year-old daughter.
But the question, respectfully, Mayor, the question isn't so much about why you hired security, it's why you hired your uncle.
Oh, well, because he was definitely qualified. He had governed, he had guarded 3 governors. He was a state trooper for over 32 years. He had the qualifications, so it wasn't like I was hiring somebody that did not have.
You didn't get like your cousin. You didn't get like your cousin Ray to just come and have security.
Right.
But I think some people say they violated nepotism rules in the state. I'm not sure if it did or it didn't, but you certainly.
No, it did not violate our nepotism policy, and it did not violate ethics or anything like that. We went through all the proper proceedings and procedures to actually hire this person, and he withdrew because his thing to me and to the citizens of Rochester was he did not want to be a distraction, that he wanted to make sure that I was able to govern and do what I needed to do on behalf of the citizens of Rochester. And that was of utmost importance to him. And so he withdrew his name and stepped out of the position because of that. But when it comes down to his qualifications, he was very highly qualified.
I don't doubt that. One thing I noticed is that you apologized to constituents saying that you could have been more transparent about the process. I appreciated your candor. I appreciated your honesty. It's so rare for a politician to apologize for anything, let alone a few weeks in. I applaud you for doing that. Before you go, I want to ask you some fun, lighter stuff, you know what I mean? not just charter schools and security details, but first of all, how do you unwind? Now that you're mayor, you got people on you constantly, there's so much attention. Like, do you sit back, do you like go home and watch Scandal or something like that?
Absolutely, one of my favorite shows. And spending time with family is, of course, my husband and my daughter and my family is of utmost importance, and making sure that I do unwind and make time for myself, because I think that we have a great challenge ahead of us, but we also have some opportunities. And my apology to the residents of Rochester was because in the beginning it was about me. When I came into office, the focus became on me and not on them. And I ran for office, not for me, but because I wanted to provide a future for our city. And I believe that I was the best person for that. And so I needed to stay focused, and I needed to get back to why I ran and get back to doing what I know I need to do on behalf of this city and stop with the distractions. That's why I did that.
Fair. You are such a good politician. You always manage to get your message out. I appreciate that. But when now your message is out, tell me what you do to relax. One of the things we talk about at HuffPost is unplugging and recharging. We talk to CEOs, we talk to mayors, we talk to governors, and all of them talk about their strategy for relaxing and unwinding when they're away from the office. Now, I know you're never fully away from the office, but do you steal time? How do you steal time? How do you steal time?
Well, I actually like to read fiction books. I don't read nonfiction. I like to bowl. I also like to go and, like I said, spend time with my daughter. I take her to the Strong Museum, which is one of a national museum of play here in Rochester. We also go skating and just spend time together. And I think that that's important. That's how I unwind, to see her and to see her excitement at life is really important to me. And sitting back and drinking a cup of tea and with a blanket and a good book is always welcomed in my home.
Mayor Warren, I need you to do me a favor. There are some young people looking to move to Rochester, some old people looking to move there too. Convince me in 60 seconds or less, why I need to move to Rochester.
Rochester is like a phoenix. We are rising again. We are looking towards our future. We have some of the best homes here. We have the best cost of living. And if you don't want to spend an hour in traffic, then definitely come to Rochester. 15 minutes to travel to anywhere in our city. We're about a half an hour from or an hour from Niagara Falls, and you can see the sights. Rochester actually has a falls that you can go to look at. We also are the home of Kodak, the home of Susan B. Anthony, the home of Frederick Douglass. We have a great history here. And we also have great opportunities here. So if you're looking at Rochester, please come and visit us. We'll make sure it's worth your while. And of course, if you want a home here, we have some of the best homes at affordable rates.
And they have the coolest mayor in America. You have sold me,
Absolutely.
Mayor Warren. Thank you so much for spending some time with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. And anytime you want me to come back on, just give me a call.
Say no more. Stay with us here at HuffPost Live. Much more coming up.